I'll cut to the chase. I'm the villainess in this story. Everyone in this wealthy, elite family adored my poor, fragile adopted sister. My older brother Damien would snap, "Don't scare Bella. Her weak heart can't take it." My other brother Magnus would add, "Lend Bella your nightgown, all right? It's wasted on you." Even my fiancé said, "This is nothing more than a marriage of convenience. My true love has always been Bella." In my last life, I humbled myself endlessly to please them. What did I receive in return? They sent me to a mental asylum and I died in agony. Then I came back to life on the day of my engagement party. A voice echoed in my mind and made its announcement. "The Madness reward system has chosen you, Marceline Blanc. Any unhinged behavior will earn rewards worth hundreds of millions of dollars." I grinned and sent the pompous, 10-tier cake crashing to the floor. "I'm done with this shitty family. Goodbye, you miserable bastards." The banquet hall erupted as a bespoke 10-layer cake smashed onto the floor, cream and fillings bursting outward and splattering every unfortunate soul within reach. Then the hall fell deathly silent. Damien was the first to recover. He stormed toward me and lifted his hand. "What the hell? Have you lost your mind? You could have scared Bella to death. You know she can't handle shocks like this." In my last life, I would have collapsed to my knees, sobbing and begging him not to hit me. I would have sworn I never meant any harm. But now a sweet, almost angelic computerized voice chimed inside my head. 3-star Madness. Reward, $15 million. My phone vibrated. I glanced at the screen. Oh sweet lord. I caught Damien's wrist, yanked it aside with all my strength, and followed through with a sharp slap across his face, the hardest I had ever delivered. The crowd gasped. Damien stared at me in disbelief. "Did you just hit me? Already lost a few brain cells from the impact?" I sneered and shook my hand to chase away the numbness. "Let this remind you who I am, dumbass. I'm the true heiress of the Blanc family. I wasn't adopted like Bella, so why the hell is she wearing my engagement dress?" 4-star Madness. Reward, $30 million. Cha-ching. The rush was intoxicating, and so was the sudden jump in my bank balance. Magnus hurried over, brushing past Gabriel Black along the way. He spared the would-be groom no attention and draped his coat around Bella Summers, as if she had just survived a major trauma. "That was completely uncalled for, Marceline," he shouted. "The only thing Bella did wrong was admire your dress. What's so terrible about sharing with your little sister? You don't even wear styles like this. Why waste it on you? Just let her have it. Please. How could it not be my style when I was the one who flew all the way to the fashion capital of Perez to have it custom-made? The process had taken 3 months and cost $1 million. And just before the party began, it vanished. Where else could it have gone? I marched up to Bella and fixed her with a hard stare. "Did you just call it a waste on me?" She shifted uneasily in Magnus' arms, eyes rimmed red. "I'm sorry, Marcy. I didn't know you'd be this upset. I thought it was the prettiest dress I've ever seen, and I only wanted to try it on. I'll take it off right now." She reached for the zipper, as if she meant to undress on the spot. If she actually did it, the resulting scandal would be something the Blanc family could never recover from. Just as I expected, Gabriel held her hand and glared at me. "When are you going to stop these hysterics, Marceline? Why are you acting like a madwoman over something as trivial as a dress?" He growled. "Look at her. Don't tell me you still haven't realized it. The dress looks better on her than it ever could on you." Damien finally regained his composure and sneered. "He's right. Unlike you, Bella actually knows how to behave like an heiress from an elite family." I laughed. Then I laughed harder, until tears streamed down my cheeks. So this was my family. This was my husband. I had died like a dog in my last life for this den of douchebags. I grabbed a bottle of red wine. "You love this dress so much, bitch? Then take it." I slammed the neck of the bottle against the edge of the table and shattered it. Wine cascaded over Bella, soaking the dress and ruining her makeup. She shrieked. "My eyes. It hurts." Magnus and Gabriel rushed to her side to clean her up. Meanwhile, Damien raised his fist as if he were asserting dominance. "You're asking for it," he shouted. I stepped back and tipped over the champagne tower beside me. The crisp, jaunty crash of expensive glasses shattering across the floor sounded like music. Damien froze and retreated from the spreading carpet of glass shards, along with several others. I stood amid the wreckage and pointed at these so-called heroes. "This is nothing more than a marriage of convenience to you, isn't it, Gabriel? Fine. Have each other as much as you want. Unlike you all, I don't mistake trash for gourmet food. There's no better match than a dog and his bitch." I turned to my brothers. "As for you two simps, why don't you make Bella your sister and your heiress instead? Then you can lick her heels to your heart's content." I faced the stunned crowd. "From this moment on, I am cutting all ties with the Blanc family," I declared. Fuck this. Fuck this family." I kicked away what remained of the cake and strode toward the front door, as if the place belonged to me. The crowd stared in stunned silence. Then my father's voice echoed. Stand right there, Marceline. If you walk out that door, I swear to God you won't get a single cent from this family. I'll cancel every goddamn card you have. Let's see how long you last living like a peasant. I halted and turned back, flashing him my brightest smile. Yes, yes, yes. Freedom from your filthy money? Thank God. Why would I need their money anyway when I had the Magnus reward system? I could make millions in the blink of an eye, bitches. Throwing a fit against the blanks and severing your ties with them. 5-star Madness. Reward. $150 million. Your first quest has been completed. Rewards for completing the newbie challenge. An ultra-luxury apartment in the heart of the city and a luxury car parked outside the hotel. My heels echoed through the silent banquet hall as I walked toward my freedom without sparing anyone a glance. A blazing red sports car waited outside. I reached into my purse and found the keys already inside. I slid into the driver's seat and slammed my foot down on the pedal. The roar of the exhaust cut through the air and rattled the windows of the doorman station. My phone vibrated nonstop. I did not need to check it to know every message came from the den of douchebags I used to call my family. I powered the phone off and tossed it onto the passenger seat. The MRS had already set the coordinates to my new home. I followed the directions and drove straight toward Paradiso Castle. Paradiso Castle was the most expensive property in the entire city. Having enough money did not guarantee the right to buy it, which only proved how absurdly generous the MRS truly was. I stood behind a 600-square-yard, floor-to-ceiling window, gazing at the city's nightscape while red wine sloshed gently in my glass. I had never felt more at peace. In my last life, I must have been genuinely brain-dead to believe they would love me simply because I obeyed every command. Oh, I was so loved. I turned my phone over and braced myself for the flood of messages and missed calls. Where the hell are you? My dear mother, Lucy, shrieked in a voice message, her voice sharp enough to pierce stone. Get your ass back here and apologize to Bella now. Do you have any idea how much shame you brought on us today? Poor Bella hasn't stopped crying. Damien's text followed soon after. Damien. Running out of money already now that Dad terminated your cards? Once you finally get tired of starving yourself, you can come back on your knees and beg for forgiveness. We might consider mercy if you show enough sincerity. And finally, Gabriel. Gabriel. Enough with your theatrics, Marceline. You embarrassed me today, but I am willing to be magnanimous. Come to my office tomorrow, and I may consider not canceling our marriage. I stared at the screen and laughed. Look at all these clowns. They truly believe I am homeless and penniless just because I left the blanks. I sent a photo to Damien, showing a small glimpse of my bank balance. $10 million, give or take. I added a caption. Call me mommy and maybe I'll buy you a wife. Then I blocked his number. Next was Gabriel. I sent him a voice message. I've always been curious about something. Are you actually impotent? One would think Bella would have stopped being a virgin by now, given how often you two are together. Instead, she looks like she's wilting. Satisfied, I blocked him as well. Finally, Lucy's turn arrived. Stop screaming into the void. Just pretend I died and move on with your life. After all, the only one you ever needed was Bella, right? I was just an accessory. May you all live like royalty during the revolution, with lives as long as the space newspapers reserve for obituaries. I blocked the last number. Silence reclaimed the world. Delivering emotional damage to family. 3-star Madness. Reward, $7 million. I collapsed onto my Italia genuine leather couch and sighed in contentment. Making money really was not that hard. Still, it was not enough. The pain and suffering they had inflicted on me in my last life ran too deep. I wanted them to see who their precious, innocent Bella Summers truly was. After that, I wanted them to stare up at me in despair, forced to acknowledge my dominance and the height I had reached. I now stood at an apex they would never touch. The next morning, the doorbell dragged me out of sleep. I peered through the peephole and saw Magnus. How the hell did he find out I lived here? Of course, he was a hacker. Tracking my phone would have been effortless for him. There was no reason to rush. I brushed my teeth and washed my face at my own unhurried pace, then opened the door. He looked livid. How the hell did you get in here? Where did you get all this money? What is this place, a rental? His eyes narrowed with suspicion. Don't tell me you debased yourself and sold your body just to get a pathetic edge over us, Marceline. How else could you afford this place after Dad terminated your cards? I leaned against the door and yawned. Man your language. You kiss Bella's boo-boo with that mouth. Marceline. Magnus snarled. He drew a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. Come home with me. Bella has been running a high fever since last night. She keeps calling for you and says she feels guilty. Mom and Dad are worried sick. Go back, apologize, and we'll treat all of this as water under the bridge. I narrowed my eyes and let a slow grin spread across my face. A fever? Oh, the Lord really does punish injustice. Has it started eating away at the pitiful number of brain cells she has left? You know, you could always institutionalize her in that mental asylum you were scouting for me. In my last life, my dear family had forcibly institutionalized me for being hysterical and aggressive. It had been pure torment. Magnus' face darkened. What the hell are you talking about? Since when did you turn into such a douchebag, Marceline? Bella is one of the kindest, purest girls I've ever met. How could you curse her like that? Kind? Pure. I snorted. What kind and pure soul tries to steal her sister's fiancé? What kind and pure soul steals her sister's engagement dress? Magnus, are you slow? That's not what happened. Bella was just. Can it? I don't care, I snapped. You just want me back so Bella can have her unwitting blood donor cattle, right? Well, not a snowball's chance in hell. Magnus roared and lunged for my shoulders. You fucking bitch. I tried playing nice, but you keep forcing my hand. Dad made it clear that if you're not back by today, you're dead to all of us. Before I could strike back, a mechanized voice rang inside my head. Quick quest unlocked. Let Magnus Blanc get a taste of free fall. Reward. 51% of Lumos Enterprises stocks. Lumos was the largest business empire in the city. Gabriel's company barely qualified as a warm-up act beside that juggernaut. I grabbed Magnus by the arm and flipped him over my shoulder. It took almost no effort. Magnus was the type who lived behind a computer screen, a basement-dwelling nerd with the physique of a couch potato. He hit the floor with a hard slam and let out a groan. I seized his leg and dragged him toward the balcony. Marceline, he screamed and struggled in vain. What do you think you're doing? Have you lost your mind? He could not break free. My strength was absurd, likely thanks to the MRS. The balcony sat on the 38th floor. I shoved him against the railing and tipped him forward until half his body hung over open air. The wind howled. His face drained of color as he clutched the rails with everything he had. He put me down. I'm your brother, damn it. Don't kill me. I tapped his cheek. Brother? You really think I see you as one? TSK. Pass this message to the blanks. Don't piss me off. Because next time, my grip might turn magically weaker. Now get the hell out. Magnus bolted from my residence in a blur. He even left a shoe behind. I watched him flee and smiled. Quest completed. Your reward can be found in the safe box in the study. Well. Things are only just getting started. I muttered. I spent the rest of the morning in the study of my 38th floor penthouse, examining the thick, gold-embossed leather folder I had retrieved from the safe. Inside were the certificate of incorporation, the master ledger, and the legal share transfer deeds granting me 51% voting equity in Lumos Enterprises. Lumos wasn't just a corporation. It was the invisible spine of the city's economy. They owned 80% of the commercial real estate, controlled the primary shipping ports, and held the debt notes on nearly every mid-tier luxury brand, including the Black Group, run by my pathetic ex-fiancé, Gabriel, and the Blanc family logistics empire. In my past life, Gabriel had treated his company like an untouchable kingdom, boasting that his marriage to me was an act of charity. I checked my watch. 10:30 a.m. Time to go to work, I purred. 20 minutes later, my bright red sports car screamed to a halt directly across the double-laned valet plaza of the Lumos Tower. I threw the keys at a stunned attendant, stepped out in a sharp blood-red velvet blazer and stilettos, and walked through the soaring glass entrance. The lobby was bustling with executives in sharp gray suits. At the center, elevator bank, stood the current interim CEO, Hector Vance, a man known in business magazines as the Iron Hammer. Beside him stood Gabriel Black himself, holding a thick leather presentation binder, practically panting like a golden retriever waiting for a treat. Mr. Vance, I assure you, Gabriel was saying, his voice oozing with practiced charm. The Black Group's expansion project only requires a minor $50 million credit line extension from Lumos. With our upcoming merger with the Blanc family, our stability is guaranteed. What merger? I called out, my heels clicking loudly against the polished marble floor. Gabriel froze. He spun around, his eyes widening in pure horror as he saw me approach. Marceline. Gabriel hissed, stepping back as if I carried a contagious disease. What the hell are you doing here? This is the corporate headquarters of Lumos Enterprises. You can't just wander in here dressed like a Broadway villain. Hector Vance frowned, looking between Gabriel and me. Mr. Black, who is this woman? She's nobody. Gabriel blurted out quickly, sweat glistening on his temples. She's my ex-fiancé. Well, she's mentally unstable. She threw a fit at our engagement party yesterday and ran away from home. Guards escort her out before she causes a scene. 2 giant security guards stepped forward. Quick quest unlocked. Assert total corporate dominance over these corporate parasites. Reward. The world's largest private yacht fleet plus $300 million in liquid capital. I smiled, reached into my sleek leather tote bag, and pulled out the thick gold folder. I didn't hand it to the guards. I slapped it hard against Gabriel's chest. knocking the breath straight out of his lungs, before tossing it onto Hector. Vance's lapel. Read page 4, Hector, I said coldly. Hector Vance opened the folder with a sneer that melted into sheer, unadulterated terror within 3 seconds. His knees literally buckled. He dropped his coffee cup, sending black liquid splashing over Gabriel's handmade Italian leather shoes. Empress Blanc. Hector stammered, his face draining of all color. You're the majority shareholder? The anonymous buyer who acquired the trust shares this morning. Gabriel blinked, looking like he'd been hit by a freight train. What are you talking about, Mr. Vance? She's homeless. Her father canceled her credit cards yesterday. Hector didn't even listen to Gabriel. He bowed 90 degrees, his voice trembling violently. Welcome to Lumos Enterprises, Chairman Blanc. The board room is prepared for you on the 80th floor. I stepped past Gabriel, leaning in close to his ear. The scent of my expensive French perfume made him flinch. You wanted a $50 million credit line extension, Gabriel? I whispered softly. I'm canceling your existing $30 million loan instead. You have 24 hours to pay it back in full, or Lumos initiates foreclosure on your corporate headquarters. Gabriel stared at me, his mouth opening and closing like a dying fish. You can't do that. That'll bankrupt me. I know, I grinned, tapping his cheek lightly. Isn't it wonderful? 5-star Magnus. Reward, private yacht fleet acquired. $300 million transferred to your high-yield account. My phone buzzed instantly with a bank notification. Balance, $497 million. I turned to Hector Vance. Assemble the entire board of directors in 3 minutes. Anyone who is late gets fired. Anyone who breathes loudly gets fired. Let's go. The 80th floor executive boardroom was a glass palace overlooking the entire metropolis. 13 senior board members, all middle-aged men who ruled the city's commerce, sat frozen in their leather chairs. They looked at me, a 23-year-old woman in a crimson suit, casually sitting at the head of the long obsidian table, resting my heels on the polished glass surface. I'll make this quick, gentlemen, I said, twirling a diamond-encrusted Mont Blanc pen between my fingers. Lumos Enterprises is cutting off all trade agreements, supply chains, and banking guarantees with the Blanc Logistics Group and Black Holdings. A senior board member on the left, an old crony of my father named Arthur, slammed his hand on the table. This is absurd. Arthur roared. The Blanc family has been a trusted logistics partner of Lumos for a decade. You're using your new position to wage a petty, personal vendetta against your own family. I object. I didn't even glance at him. I pressed a button on the intercom. Security. The heavy double doors opened, and 2 guards stepped in. Throw Arthur out the 80th floor window, I said calmly. The entire room went so quiet you could hear the air conditioning hum. Arthur gasped, his face turning pale green. What? You can't be serious. That's murder. I'm testing your loyalty, I smiled sweetly. Guards, if he doesn't walk out through the front door in 3 seconds, assist him through the glass. Arthur scrambled out of his chair so fast he flipped his leather seat over, sprinting out of the room as if a demon were chasing him. I looked around the rest of the table. Anyone else feel like objecting to my family values? The remaining 12 board members violently shook their heads in unison, sweating through their tailored dress shirts. Splendid, I purred. Now issue an official public press release from Lumos Enterprises. Announce that Black Holdings is on the verge of insolvency and that Blanc Logistics is under investigation for corporate tax fraud. Let's crash their stock prices before lunch. 4-star Magnus. Reward, 100% ownership of the city media conglomerate. Oh, the system really knows how to pamper a girl. I whispered to myself as the rewards notification popped up. Just then, my phone chimed with an invitation from an unknown number. It was a mass digital invitation sent to every high society figure in the city. The Blanc family cordially invites you to the grand charity gala at the Imperial Hotel tonight, celebrating the recovery of our beloved daughter, Bella Summers, and her official debut as the sole primary heiress of the Blanc estate. Attached was a note from my mother, Lucy, sent to my personal email. Lucy, look at what you missed, Marceline. We are introducing Bella as our true daughter tonight. Everyone who matters will be there. You are a penniless ghost. Don't bother coming to beg. I stared at the invitation, my smile widening into something genuinely terrifying. Oh, mother, I laughed softly. You think you're throwing a debut party? You're throwing a funeral. The ballroom of the Imperial Hotel was a sea of crystal chandeliers, white orchids, and champagne fountains. The entire high society of the city had gathered. My father, Richard Blanc, stood near the raised stage wearing a tailored tuxedo, looking proud and regal. Beside him was my mother, Lucy, draped in emeralds, beaming as she held Bella's hand. Bella was wearing a shimmering pink tulle gown, a custom piece designed to make her look fragile, ethereal, and utterly helpless. She had a delicate white handkerchief pressed to her nose, coughing softly every few minutes to remind everyone of her weak, fluttering heart. Damien and Magnus stood behind her like loyal guard dogs. Gabriel Black was also there, looking frantic, constantly checking his phone as news of his company's plummeting stock prices began to circulate through the room. Richard Blanc stepped up to the microphone, clearing his throat. "Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests," Richard announced, his voice echoing through the acoustics. "Tonight we celebrate family. As many of you know, my eldest daughter, Marceline, proved herself unworthy of the Blanc name through her unhinged, disgraceful actions. She has cut ties with us." The crowd murmured, sipping their champagne. "But blood is not just biology," Richard continued smoothly. "It is grace. It is kindness. And so tonight, we officially declare Bella Summers as the sole heir to the Blanc family fortune." Applause erupted. Bella lowered her eyes modestly, dabbing at a fake tear. "Thank you, Papa. I only wish Marcy were here so I could give her a hug and till here fuck you here." Boom. The massive double mahogany doors of the ballroom were thrown open with such force that they smashed against the marble walls, shattering the gilded frames. On impact, every single guest whipped their heads around. I walked in. I was wearing a floor-length, pitch-black liquid silk gown by a famous French designer that wasn't even released to the public yet, a dress worth $2 million, encrusted with real black diamonds along the spine. On my head sat a tiara made of raw platinum. Behind me marched 4 burly men in black suits carrying a massive, covered, rolling cart. Did someone say my name? I called out, my voice cutting through the hall like a razor blade. I'd hate to miss the crowning of the city's favorite parasite. My mother, Lucy, practically turned purple. "Marceline, how dare you crash this event? Security, throw this homeless brat out." The hotel security guards moved toward me, but I didn't even look at them. "If any security guard touches me," I declared calmly, "I will buy this hotel in the next 30 seconds and fire your entire lineage." The guards instantly froze. They knew about the Lumos press release from an hour ago. Rumors were already flying that a terrifying new female tycoon had taken over the city's financial sector. Gabriel rushed forward, his face twisted in panic. "Marceline, stop this insanity. Is this because I canceled our engagement? Are you stalking me?" "Stalking you?" I laughed, looking him up and down. "Gabriel, you owe Lumos $30 million by tomorrow morning. If I wanted to see a broke man cry, I'd go to a homeless shelter. It's cheaper." Damien stepped up, glaring at me with pure hatred. "Get out of here, Marceline. Bella has a weak heart. Look at her, she's shaking because of your sudden entrance." Indeed, Bella was leaning heavily against Magnus, gasping for breath, clutching her chest theatrically. Please, Marcy, don't hurt Papa." "My heart?" Yes, the infamous weak heart," I said, snapping my fingers. "Bring out the main dish, boys." My 4 assistants threw off the black velvet sheet covering the cart. On the cart sat a massive, high-definition broadcast monitor, connected to a hospital-grade server. "What is the meaning of this?" Richard Blanc demanded, marching down the stage. "Just a little medical presentation for high society," I purred, pressing a button on a remote control. The massive screen lit up, displaying certified medical files, blood test results, and high-resolution video footage bearing the official seal of the city's top private hospital. The top document read, "Patient, Bella Summers. Diagnosis, perfect cardiovascular health, athletic level heart capacity." A video played automatically on the screen. It showed Bella 6 months ago, sitting in a private doctor's office handing a thick envelope of cash to the chief of cardiology. "Just keep telling the blanks that my heart is failing," Bella's recorded voice boomed through the ballroom speakers, crisp and clear. "If they think I'm dying, they'll give me whatever I want. And make sure to give me those mild, fever-inducing pills so I can faint whenever Marceline gets too much attention." The ballroom erupted into violent gasps. The silence that followed the video playback was suffocating. Every single camera phone in the ballroom was flashing, recording the crisp, high-definition evidence playing on the screen. My mother, Lucy, looked at the screen, then at Bella, her hands trembling so violently her emerald bracelet clattered against her wrist. "Be Bella." What is this video?" Bella's face had gone from delicate pale to ghostly white. The handkerchief in her hand dropped to the floor. "It's a fake," Bella screamed, her sweet, fragile voice dropping 2 octaves into a harsh, hysterical screech. "She fabricated it. Marcy manipulated the footage. You know how evil she is." "Oh really?" I smirked, scrolling to the next slide on the screen. "Then let's look at bank statement B." A financial transaction log popped up. "Transfer $500,000 from Magnus Blank's private account to Dr. Julian Reed. Cardiology. Memo. Keep Bella's medical file confidential. Everyone turned to look at Magnus. Magnus stood frozen, his eyes wide with absolute horror. Magnus. Richard Blanc turned to his son, his voice shaking with a dangerous, rising fury. You knew about this? You paid the doctor to fake her illness. Dad, listen to me. Magnus stammered, backing away. Bella. Bella was scared. You'd send her back to the orphanage if she wasn't special. She did it out of love for the family. Love. I burst out laughing, the sound echoing through the cavernous hall. She didn't do it out of love, you idiot. She did it because as long as she played the dying swan, you fools handed her my clothes, my jewels, my inheritance, and my fiancé. Exposing the fake White Lotus parasite in front of elite society. 6-star. Madness. Reward. 100% equity of the Blanc family's primary lender bank. Cha-ching. Another notification flashed in my vision. I now own the very bank that held the mortgage on the Blanc family mansion and their corporate headquarters. Damien stepped forward, looking entirely lost, his eyes darting between the screen and Bella. Bella, you lied to us? For 3 years. I punched Marceline for you. I slapped her across the face because you said she pushed you down the stairs. She did push me. Bella shrieked, dropping all pretense of her delicate persona. She pointed a manicured finger at me, her face contorted in ugly, desperate rage. She had everything. She was the legitimate heiress. Everyone loved her. What was wrong with me taking a little bit of her life? You all gave it to me willingly. You preferred me over her anyway. The guests gasped in utter disgust. The sweet, pure, innocent Bella Summers had just openly confessed to being a manipulative, scheming fraud in front of 200 of the city's most influential people. Richard Blanc looked as if he had aged 20 years in 20 seconds. The disgrace was overwhelming. The Blanc family name, the pride he had spent his entire life protecting, was officially ruined. He turned toward me, his hands shaking, his voice cracking with a pathetic, desperate edge. And Marceline, Richard whispered, taking a slow step toward me. My daughter, you were right all along. We were fooled. We were deceived by this snake. Come home, Marceline. We'll throw her out. We'll give you back everything. My mother rushed forward, tears streaming down her face, reaching out to grab my hand. Marcy, my sweet girl. I'm your mother. Forgive me. I didn't know. We can be a family again. I stepped back, dodging her hands as if she were covered in sewage. I looked at my mother. I looked at my father. I looked at Damien and Magnus. In my past life, I would have cried tears of joy to hear those words. I would have dropped to my knees, forgiving them instantly, desperate for an ounce of their affection. Now, it was just pathetic. Come home. I laughed, pulling a pair of gold-plated scissors from my tote bag. You think this was about wanting to come home? I walked over to the grand centerpiece table, grabbed the edge of the $5,000 silk tablecloth, and sliced it straight down the middle, sending 300 crystal glasses and champagne bottles crashing onto the floor in a magnificent, deafening explosion of noise. Crash. Destruction of elite family reconciliation. 5-star madness. Reward. $500 million in cash. I stood amid the glass and spilled champagne, looking down at them like an empress looking at insects. I don't want your filthy home, I said, my voice echoing cold and clear through the room. And as the new owner of First National Bank, I'm calling in the Blanc Logistics $50 million mortgage loan. You have until 5 p.m. tomorrow to pay it back, or I foreclose on the mansion and throw you all into the street. Richard Blanc gasped, clutching his chest, actually having a real heart attack. This time, and collapsed onto the floor. Dad, Damien screamed, rushing to his side. Marceline, you monster. Lucy wailed. I didn't even look back. I turned on my heels, my black silk dress flowing behind me like a shadow, and walked out of the ballroom as the entire room descended into pure, glorious chaos. By the next afternoon, the Blanc family was drowning. News of Bella's exposed medical scam had gone viral across every social media platform and news network, thanks to the media conglomerate I had acquired the day before. Stock prices for Blanc Logistics plummeted by 85% in 6 hours. Gabriel's company had declared bankruptcy, and Gabriel himself was currently hiding from angry creditors in a cheap motel outside the city. In a desperate, last-ditch effort to save themselves, Magnus Blanc decided to use his only remaining asset, his elite hacking skills. Inside the dim basement of the Blanc mansion, Magnus sat behind 4 monitors, his fingers flying across his keyboard at blinding speed. I'm going to destroy her, Magnus muttered, sweat dripping off his chin. I'm going to hack into Lumos Enterprises master server, wipe her share ownership. records and drain her private bank accounts. She thinks she's a god? I'll show her what a real programmer can do. He breached the outer firewall of the Lumos server network. Suddenly, all 4 of his monitors flickered. The screens went pitch black. A single line of bright neon green text appeared across his screens. Madness system override. Nice try, basement dweller. Magnus froze, his breath catching in his throat. What is this? Before he could pull the power plug, his computer speakers emitted a loud, piercing air horn sound. A automated counterhack script, granted to me by the empress as a passive defense. Perk instantly took over his entire rig. It didn't just kick him out, it hijacked his webcam, recorded his face, and began downloading his entire hard drive directly onto the public internet. Within 30 seconds, Magnus' private search history, his incel forum posts, his illegal dark web transactions, and 5 years of stolen corporate data were broadcast live to 2 million viewers on Twitch. No, stop. Magnus shrieked, hammering on his keyboard, trying to smash his monitor. Then came the sirens. 2 red and blue police lights flashed through the basement windows. 4 federal cybercrime agents smashed through the basement door, guns drawn. Magnus Blanc, put your hands behind your head. You are under arrest for federal wire fraud, corporate espionage, and illegal hacking. Magnus fell out of his chair, sobbing hysterically as the officers tackled him to the floor and slapped heavy steel handcuffs onto his wrists. It was Marceline. Magnus wept into the dirty floor. She made me do it. She set me up. Tell it to the federal judge, kid. The officer spat, dragging him away. With Magnus in federal prison, Gabriel ruined, and Richard Blanc hospitalized from his heart attack, my dear mother, Lucy, and my older brother, Damien, were pushed to absolute madness. They knew they couldn't beat me legally. They knew they couldn't beat me financially. So they decided to use the ultimate weapon they had used against me in my past life. At 8 p.m., I received an anonymous text message pretending to be from the Imperial Hospital, stating that my father was on his deathbed and wanted to make a final confession to me in the old abandoned wing of St. Jude's Sanatorium, the very mental asylum where I had died in my past life. I stared at the text message and let out a cold, dark chuckle. St. Jude's Sanatorium, I murmured, running my fingers over my lip. They really have no original ideas, do they? In my past life, they had dragged me to that exact asylum, paid off the corrupt director, Dr. Evans, and locked me in a padded cell until my spirit broke and I died of heart failure. I stood up, put on a sharp black leather trench coat, and picked up my car keys. Special event unlocked. Return to the House of Horrors. Quest. Turn their trap into their eternal tomb. Reward. Absolute immunity from all legal prosecution plus $1 billion. Oh, I wouldn't miss this for the world, I smiled. Half an hour later, my red sports car pulled up outside the rusted gates of St. Jude's Sanatorium. The abandoned asylum stood atop a desolate, windswept hill, its dark stone towers looming against the stormy night sky like a giant monster. I walked through the creaking iron doors into the main hallway. The air was thick with the smell of mold, rust, and old chemicals. Footsteps echoed behind me. Bang. The heavy iron entrance doors slammed shut and locked automatically. Damien stepped out from the shadows, holding an iron pipe. Beside him stood my mother, Lucy, her eyes wide and unhinged, holding a heavy syringe filled with a thick yellow sedative. And behind them stood Dr. Evans, the same corrupt, greasy doctor who had tortured me in my past life. You walked right into it, Marceline, Damien snarled, a twisted, maniacal grin spreading across his face. You thought you were so smart with your money and your corporation, but you forgot where you belong. Lucy stepped forward, her voice shaking with psychotic triumph. You ruined us. Marceline, you put your brother in jail. You destroyed your father's health. You are insane. Completely insane. Dr. Evans chuckled, clicking a pair of heavy leather restraint straps in his hands. Don't worry, Mrs. Blanc. Once we administer the sedative and lock her in cell 404, no one will ever hear from her again. I've already signed the commitment papers declaring her criminally incompetent. I stood in the center of the dark hallway, my hands tucked casually into the pockets of my trench coat. I didn't panic. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just looked at Dr. Evans and smiled gently. Dr. Evans, I said softly. Did you check your corporate email before you agreed to help these 2 broke peasants tonight? Dr. Evans blinked, caught off guard. What? I pulled my phone out and pressed play on a speakerphone call. A woman's voice echoed through the hallway. The voice of the State Medical Board Director, Dr. Julian Evans. As of 1 hour ago, St. Jude's Sanatorium was purchased outright by Chairman Marceline Blanc. Furthermore, your medical license has been permanently revoked due to evidence of illegal patient abuse provided by Lumos Enterprises. State troopers are currently en route to your location. Dr. Evans dropped his leather straps, his phone slipping from his fingers, smashing on the stone floor. What? She bought the asylum? Impossible. Damien screamed, lunging at me with the iron pipe. I'll kill you. Myself. Before he could take 2 steps, 3 heavy-set men in tactical gear dropped from the upper balcony, slamming Damien onto the stone floor with crushing force. The iron pipe clattered uselessly away. Lucy shrieked, dropping the syringe, stepping back in utter terror. No. No. Marcy. Please. I walked over to the dropped syringe, picked it up, and examined the yellow liquid under the dim light. Heavy sedative, I remarked softly, designed to induce long-term brain damage and memory loss. You used this on me before, didn't you, Dr. Evans? Dr. Evans fell to his knees weeping. I was just following orders. Mrs. Blanc paid me. Well, I smiled, stepping past him toward cell 404, the exact padded cell where I had died in my past life. I opened the heavy iron door of cell 404. It's a very spacious room, I said, turning back to look at Lucy, Damien, and Bella, who had been hiding in the shadows near the back door, waiting to watch my downfall. My tactical team grabbed Damien, Lucy, and Bella by their collars, dragging them toward the cell. No. Marcy, I'm your mother. Lucy screamed, clawing at the stone walls. You can't lock us in here. It's illegal. Illegal? I chuckled, tilting my head. Oh, mother, didn't you hear Dr. Evans? You signed commitment papers declaring that anyone found in this wing tonight is criminally insane. I'm just enforcing your paperwork. My men shoved Lucy, Damien, and Bella into cell 404. Bang. The heavy iron door slammed shut. The mechanical locks engaged with a series of heavy final clicks. Through the small reinforced glass window on the door, I watched them. Bella was pounding her fists against the padded walls, screaming without sound. Damien was cursing hysterically, throwing his body against the door. Lucy had collapsed onto the dirty floor, pulling her hair out in pure, unadulterated madness. They were trapped in the very hell they had created for me. Ultimate quest completed. Absolute revenge achieved. 7-star madness. Reward. $1 billion plus global immunity. I turned to my head of security. Keep the lights off. Feed them hospital porridge once a day. Let them enjoy each other's company for the next 20 years. Understood, Chairman Blanc. The guard bowed. I walked out of the sanatorium, stepping through the front doors into the cool night air. A year later, the city had completely forgotten the names of the Blanc family, Gabriel Black and Bella Summers. Blanc Logistics had been liquidated and absorbed into Lumos Enterprises. The Blanc mansion was demolished, replaced by a public park named after my mother's late dog. Just to add insult to injury, Gabriel was working as a night shift janitor at a local bus station to pay off his corporate debts. Magnus was serving a 10-year sentence in a maximum security federal penitentiary. And inside cell 404 of St. Jude's Sanatorium, Lucy, Damien, and Bella spent their days screaming at each other, blaming one another for their downfall, tearing at their own clothes in an endless cycle of misery. As for me, I sat on the top deck of my 300-foot mega yacht, anchored off the coast of the French Riviera. I wore a white silk robe, a pair of oversized sunglasses covering my eyes, sipping a glass of $50,000 champagne, while the warm Mediterranean sun warmed my skin. My net worth had surpassed $20 billion. I owned corporations on 3 continents, a fleet of private jets, and enough political leverage to reshape entire national economies with a single phone call. My phone buzzed on the glass table beside me. Madness reward system. Daily passive dividend transferred. $10 million. Current. World rank, untouchable. I picked up my champagne glass, raised it toward the blue sky, and smiled. In my last life, I was a weak, pathetic girl who begged for love from people who viewed me as trash. In this life, I was the villainess, and the world was my playground. I took a slow, sweet sip of champagne, and let out a soft, contented sigh. Being bad, I whispered to the wind, feels so damn good.